What's up, Rockstars? It's a long-awaited video today, Make Games, Not Campaigns. Now, I'd like to clarify this a little bit. I am a little famous in some circles around saying make games, not campaigns. But I think the intent was lost in the message somewhere, pretty much because of how simple the actual statement is. So what's intended by that? I am not saying don't use crowdfunding. I think crowdfunding is awesome. I use it all the time. I get to get really cool exclusive collector's edition, like fancy version, super all-ins, all I want, and I think that's super cool. There are entire genres that I enjoy that really only work through crowdfunding. A lot of these things, either like dungeon crawls, will just get better with more content, which means obviously something like crowdfunding is really good. Or whether it's skirmish games that always struggle at retail but do really well on crowdfunding for the people who want them, unless you're a big name player, of course. And just all sorts of stuff like that. Boss battlers, pretty much universally crowdfunded, and there's a reason for that. A lot of these games are kind of expensive, or they take a big, box and they don't fit on a brick and mortar very well, and when it comes to distribution, it's just niche for the IP or whatever. Crowdfunding is cool. I'm not saying that at all. By all means, make campaigns. What I'm talking about is the intent. What is your focus? I'm talking about being game first. So when you make a game versus make a campaign, I'll kind of explain. So I'll give you an example, actually. And now that the company's kind of where it's at now, I feel fine actually saying this. I once had a issue, you may have heard about this, with not having an index in my board game technical manual, aka a rule book. In other words, I wanted to be able to look things up in the rule book, and there was no index. So lo and behold, Mythic Games starts putting indexes in their board games. Super cool. Well, they would release the rulebooks, and eventually there became a version out where there was no index. The index was gone. They said that they changed a whole bunch of it and just, didn't want to essentially fuss with updating an index that was changing. And I made the comment, I actually got in an argument with one of the representatives on their official Discord channel around actually getting the index there. And they made it seem like it was such a bother, such a drag. It would take so much time and take so much effort. And is that really needed? Look, it's amazing to me that a company like Mythic Games, who could make campaign after campaign after campaign, working on images and product lines and figuring out MSRP and all that other kind of stuff, it takes a lot of advertising and update writing and all that stuff to run a campaign, to make a campaign, that then when you ask them to actually work on their board game and make their board game, it was, oh, really? Mythic Games made campaigns and then made games for it. You saw this a lot, and a lot of companies did this, where they would have a campaign, like the Everrain. When they finally did release a rulebook eventually, it was a hastily written 8-page Word document that still didn't even explain how you won the game, because it wasn't a game. The Everrain was a campaign and an idea. The game came after the campaign. The focus was on the campaign. So suddenly they have painted miniatures. They actually physically made miniatures, shipped them out to someone, a cool guy, by the way, to paint them. Great painter, by the way. Painted those miniatures. So they had all of this stuff for the campaign, and they didn't even have a game yet, not a real one. Because trust me, you can jot down how to win a game when designing the game like day one. Okay, they had a campaign and then eventually begrudgingly made a game afterwards. That's where you get that delay. Like Hell the Last Saga, same thing for Mythic Games. Anytime you see that big delay, it's because the campaign came, the product to sell came, and then the game comes later. That's the issue. Now, there is a little separation there around story. Often story is just footnotes and has to be worked on and stuff like that. And then, of course, the game design has to match the story and all that. But for stuff that doesn't have that, it's very obvious when companies do this, and they do it all the time. That is making campaigns, not games. And I want companies to make games, not campaigns. In other words, they made a game. It's a cool game. They're excited about the game, and they want to sell it to you, and they are doing so through crowdfunding. Totally fine. And there's easy ways to note this. So first of all, the miniature focus. If there is a heavy miniature focus on the campaign page where there's not any kind of gameplay, they don't show off the gameplay, but what you see is all of the beautiful miniature renders, probably even painted. They're focused on selling you a product, not a game. They're focused on selling things, not making things. They want to make a campaign, not a game. A game is the means to the end. It's how they have decided to earn their money, not because they want to create something cool and awesome and they're excited about it. So they are product first and then game second. So anytime you see that, if you see painted miniatures and scarcity in gameplay, that is a campaign, not a game. That is a game eventually later on, right after they get your money. So miniature focus, totally there. Advertising focus. A lot of times they might even have a lot of gameplay there, right? But they get to choose how they advertise. How are they going to word things to their customers? And if it's a giant picture of this really cool render that isn't even realistic, and then like, get this cool mini. Well, that's how they're selling it. They're selling it through the product, not the game. Instead of, wow, look how awesome this dungeon crawl is, or look how cool this is, or look at the offer we're doing around this cool, unique new thing. They can choose their advertising, and their advertising focus shows what they're thinking of their game, what their selling point of the game is. Is it their gameplay that they thought up that's so cool and awesome and wonderful and they want to share with you? Or is it some cool miniature renders that they hope you'll buy with a game attached to it? The focus will tell you. Even the update focus. So often they'll write updates, but if all their updates are, you get this new mini, and you get this new option to buy another expansion, and look at this new pledge level that we added, that's all campaign, not game. But if they're like, look at this cool system, and I really want to do this, and now we've unlocked this way to do this, if you can tell when you read it, guys, when you look at it, you really look at it, if it's actually game focused or not. Are they passionate about this cool game they made? Or are they passionate about selling you more product? That will come across in their advertising, in their campaign page, in their advertising, in their update writing, all of that kind of stuff. I think I said advertising twice. It's so obvious, guys, when you see that. You'll see the advertisement, it's a big old miniature render, and then that's it. It's like, buy this cool looking thing, not buy this cool gameplay, right? So that's what I mean with make games, not campaigns. And I'm tired of seeing so many campaigns. I'm tired of reading updates that all it's telling me is what product change happened. Whether I'm getting more product, whether I'm able to buy more product, whether more product was offered, and then nothing on the gameplay. I'm tired of looking at a campaign that I'm excited about because I think it's going to be cool to find out they can't even be bothered to tell me about their gameplay. They'll upload a rule book and call it good. If they're that lackluster about their gameplay, why should I be as excited about their gameplay if they can't be? A person who created something that they believe in, that think it's cool, they can't help but share it and write about it and talk about it, how cool it is. And they've thought of all these things. And that passion is something I think we need greatly in the crowdfunding space. Make games, not campaigns. I don't want to buy your product. I want to buy your game. I want you to be excited about your game, not what you can sell me. Hopefully that makes sense to you guys. If you have any comments, if you have any suggestions, or if you want me to look at anything, comments are down below. If you appreciate this video, of course, there is that like button, that subscribe button. Be sure to hit that. And thanks, as always, to my patrons who make this expensive hobby and channel worthwhile, where I can actually show you all this stuff and afford all this crap. So guys, thank you so much for that, and I'll talk to you guys again very soon. Bye, guys.